Hello, viewers. My name is Evan Hanley. I'm waiting for Quentin to arrive for our annual meeting, but he's late as usual. So, with your kind indulgence, I have some other business to take care of. You're more than willing to watch. First, my satanic hood. Yeah. Oh, in order to prevent hell burn, my black arts gauntlets. Yes. Must have those. All right. I need complete silence and concentration. Spirit of darkness, spirit of snarkness, spirit of farceness. It is to you to whom I call. Please create an image of myself, a mini me to pin up on the wall. Yes. A mini Evan Hanley. Now, where do you suppose you could get something like this, particularly in 1969? Well, welcome to episode 7 of Collinsport After Dark. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Corporation and their 1969 set of 16 posters, The Dark Shadows Giant Pinups. Roll intro. Welcome to Collinsport After Dark. This is a Dark Shadows podcast with your host, Alan Gallant, and of course the whole host of things that go bump in the night. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the latest episode of Collinsport After Dark.
This is an ABC color presentation.
Well, welcome back, folks. Here we are again at the Chris Jennings Memorial Hotel Room at the Collinsport Inn, right here in beautiful downtown Collinsport, Maine. If you look out the back window, you can see Collinwood from here. Meanwhile, I picked up this funny-looking book here, and let's see, it's got a funny-looking word on the front of it. It's a Necronomicon or something. Let's try another book. This one looks the same, but it ain't. This one is The Dark Shadows Giant Pinups from 1969. Hopefully when I open this here book, it ain't going to have quite the same effect. I saw some weird things there in those couple of seconds. Oh, no. No, ain't this lovely? Whoa, it's got all sorts of descriptions in here, and it's got a bunch of the actual pinups. How about that? Now, I think that's what we ought to go over today. That's being episode 7 of Collinsport After Dark. And first of all, let me sort of give you a background on this. A lot of the pictures from this here set of 16 giant pinups, and by giant I mean a little bit bigger than a normal sheet of paper. We'll go over the size and such in a little while. What we actually have here is black and white posters on newsprint with a beautiful sort of strawberry pink and green design around the edges of it. Looks sort of like a picture frame. So we got all these, and all the major players, at least, although there are a few omissions, of the 1897 storyline from the latter day part of the storyline when Count Petofi was part of that storyline. By the time we got to these giant pinups here, we've got Charles Delaware Tate is in here. Of course, Judith Collins, Quentin Collins, Barnabas Collins, Edward Collins, Jameson Collins, but the poster in here has Jameson Collins wearing them dark gloves. You know what that means, right? That means he's possessed by Count Petofi. So, a lot of these are going to be in the early 800s in terms of episodes, but we'll go over the entirety of that here in just a few minutes. Thank God this isn't that unmentionable book. This is much pleasanter. Anyway, first of all, we'll do a normal run-through of all these gorgeous posters here. Remembering that they cost, I think they cost a nickel a piece. Back in 1969, you got a little slab of bubble gum with them, that god-awful wood chip kind of bubble gum that had that really pinky, deliciousness, if you want to put it that way in sarcastic tone. It didn't taste very good, and it was crunchy and hard when you first started chewing on it. Pull your teeth right out sometimes. So, in other words, every kid's dream in terms of having it be bad for you and good for you at the same time. So, these packs came in boxes of 24, and they were distributed to the local mom and pop store, maybe to your A&P or something like that. They'd be up on a counter probably near the cash register, and you'd say, Daddy, or Mommy, give me a nickel to buy a pack of these. Let's see who I get this week. Will it be Petofi, or will it be Quentin, or will it be Charity Trask, or Reverend Trask, or who's it going to be? 16 different posters. Now, they're not all different characters. Quentin and Barnabas have several characters, or I should say several posters to themselves. So let's go ahead and I'll crank up some good old-timey gay 90s music to go along with these lovely posters. Hope you enjoy the graphic and musical trip here, and I'll see you on the other side. Well, oh boy, all I can tell you is 1969 was a big year for anybody going into their local mom and pop store and looking for dark shadow stuff. You had the green CADs that came out, I don't know, probably summertime or something like that, that covered the first third to around 1/3 of the storyline of 1897. Quentin is a zombie and all that sort of thing. But then, hot on its heels, probably no more than a few months later, came these 16 Giant Pinups. And then finally, probably around the same time, or very close, would be the Quentin postcards, and they'll get their own little feature a little bit later on in another podcast here on Collins Pot After Dark. But let's get right back into the 16 Giant Pinups here, and the descriptions thereof, and the circumstances by which they became a part of the Dark Shadows collectibles pantheon, if you will. So let's begin. This set of 16 9.5-inch by 19-inch posters was issued in 1969, hot on the heels of the second series of Dark Shadows green gum cards. Like the gum cards, they employed black and white photographs of major figures from the show with two-color, pink and green, additional decoration. In the case of the second series gum cards, the decoration was in the form of a wavy green border and a pink dialogue box. The giant posters incorporated both colors into a picture frame border. The posters also incorporated the character's signature in the lower right-hand corner of each poster in either white or green cursive lettering. This embellishment was also used on the Barnabas gum cards issued in 1968 with pink lettering. Note, I believe the signatures were not facsimiles of the actual actor's writing, but were forgeries signed by several people who were probably Philly Gum employees, possibly art department personnel, or even from the office pool. The main difference in design between the second set of cards and the posters, other than size, can be found in the story aspect of the cards. Contained in the pink dialogue box on each card was one of a series of 66 quotes or sentences, one for each card. These sentences, along with accompanying photos, offered a simple version of the first half of the 1897 storyline. The primary focus was on Quentin's time as a zombie, the introduction of Reverend Gregory Trask, and Barnabas's attempt to help Quentin and Jameson revert to normal. Magda, Mad Jenny, and the werewolf are also briefly included at the end of the sequence of cards. The giant pinup posters offer no story or real sequence, but merely depict most of the major characters from the second half of the 1897 story, which focused on the vampire hunt of Barnabas, Count Petofi, and the cure of Quentin's lycanthropy. There were several characters that threaded through the entire storyline, not the least of whom was Angelique. Interestingly, Angelique was not depicted in the second card series, although she was the force behind Quentin becoming a zombie. She does do a turn on number 15 of the posters, but dressed in 1795 garb, as opposed to the 1897 clothes she ought to be wearing to be in step with the others in that series. The posters were printed on what appears to be newsprint with a slightly glossy finish. Each poster had, in its lower left corner, the number of the poster followed by the phrase of 16 pinups. In the extreme bottom right of the photograph, just above the two-color frame, the following declaration appears: 1969, Dan Curtis Productions Incorporated, all rights reserved. The posters which have the white signatures also have the copyright symbol, which precedes the earlier declaration of copyright. Those with the green signatures do not. Now here's an example of how the posters were folded up to accommodate the wax wrapper that they were in along with the piece of gum. Here you see the posters are folded into fourths along the 19-inch length. And you can see there's the 4 folds right there. And then you'd fold that up like so, and then fold it again into fourths along the 9.5-inch width, and you can see where those lines are there. I'm not going to fold that up right now. The 4 5/8 inch by 2 1/8 inch folded poster was originally placed into a wax wrapper with a single slab of gum. The wrappers are purple with dark shadows printed in white letters and outlined in black with a shadow effect pulled lower right. Directly below that are the words Giant Pinups with pinups in green lettering. All other lettering is plain white, including the price, 5 cents. And on the left side of the packs is a bordered photo of Quentin, which is different from the 3 posters of him found in the set. On the backs, an address appears from the manufacturer, as well as a depiction of their swell gum product. The full packs originally came in boxes of 24 in a display box that incorporated both the poster border design and the lettering from the packs, all enhanced in pink and green. The following photographs were provided by collector Bramwell B. and add to the information that we have about these wonderful Dark Shadows Giant Pinups. What you're about to see includes what's called a header, which was an advertising tool that was used in the boxes. And if you notice from this particular header, it says House of Dark Shadows Pinups. I think that these pinups were probably all bulk sold in order to get rid of a bunch of surplus 1897 pinups. If you notice, for 39 cents you get 12 giant pinups and 20 pieces of gum. So they were definitely bulking those out. Makes groovy book covers, hang on your walls, etc. And you can see that they were attempting to get rid of the 1897 pinups by associating them with the 1970 movie House of Dark Shadows. This was originally thought to have been some kind of a fan-made thing, but according to Bramwell B., he procured these from a well-known collector, and they were in with a bunch of other legit items. So it looks like this was a legit item, folks. How often it was used is another story, but it was legitimately produced by Philly Gum Company out of Philadelphia. So thanks again, Bramwell. I appreciate very much you allowing me to share this with my podcast viewers. Following individual descriptions of each of the 16 posters found in this set of Dark Shadows Giant Pinups is intended to be an informed supposition as to the time frame in which these photos or publicity stills were taken. These informed suppositions are based on the relationships between the characters, the time frame in which the characters did or did not appear, and any visual reference such as unique costumes, hair, or even background settings. As an initial reference point, I have found that most of the 16 shots were taken between 1897 episodes number 800, aired July 18, 1969, taped July 10, 1969, and number 806, aired July 28, 1969, and taped July 18, 1969. Some of the shots are dated more generally, with little information beyond their supposed proximity in time to the other stills. All dating research comes from 2 sources, the Dark Shadows Concordance 1897 and direct reference to video material, specifically the episodes themselves, from MPI Video. And here's poster number 1. This standing pose of Reverend Trask has him wearing his heavy-collared overcoat in the drawing room. Owing to the fact that he did not appear at all in our time frame prior to episode 805, aired July 25th, 69, taped July 17th, 69, and that he appeared thereafter without the frock, this leads me to believe that 805 is the episode to which this still belongs. And here's a brief clip from that episode 805.
I thought you'd gone to see Judith.
I did.
How is she?
No better than can be expected, poor lady. She will be at that sanitarium for quite a while.
Then your urgent business doesn't concern her.
No. I came to discuss Edward and Jameson.
Edward and Jameson?
Poor Judith's madness seems to have infected them, too.
What are you talking about?
Poor Edward sits in the tower room, convinced he is the perfect servant. I went up to see him when I got home. He insisted on dusting my coat.
Edward, how horrible.
And Charity tells me that Jameson has been touched by madness, too.
What do you mean, Charity tells you?
I have not seen him myself. The boy has run away.
Where?
I don't.
Are you searching for him?
I'm in no hurry to find him.
Poster number 2. This shot of Quentin features a darkened background of curtains. The vague pattern on these is the same as those in his room. Like the other 2 solo shots of Quentin, numbers 6 and 13, this one features his stalwart blue suit with matching frock. This makes his shots difficult to assign a date to because of the constant use of this costume ensemble throughout the 1897 sequence. However, if we assume they may have been taken on the same day as Poster 7, The Men of Collinwood, we can assign them episode 804, aired July 24th, 69, taped July 16th, 69. For more details, let's wait until we see a description of poster number 7. Poster number 3 finds Roger Davis playing his second character of 1897, Charles Delaware Tate. Tate's happy pose beside the staircase newel post in Collinwood's foyer was most likely taken at the same point as number 7, which would be episode 804. The reasoning behind this is that Tate's character debuted that day, and his dark artist's garb with overblown cravat matches in both posters as well as the video for that episode. He did not appear in episode 805, and in 806, there was no Edward to be available for a photo for poster number 7. Here's a fun little photograph from the day that episode 804 was taped, which was on the 16th of July, 1969. Here's Roger with a couple of fans just outside the door. And here's a short clip from that episode 804.
I am Charles Delaware Tate. Good evening. I'm here to see Mr. Jameson Collins.
I am Jameson Collins.
You?
Yes. Please don't be alarmed by my appearance. I assure you that I am the very person you know well. Shall we go into the drawing room and get started with our business? Charles Delaware Tate, a noted painter, pursued by rich women and beautiful girls, all hoping to be captured on one of your immortal canvases.
Poster number 4, Charity Trask. She appears here in a head and shoulders close-up still, which shows off the lacework on the neckline of her yellow dress. This dress is our best clue here, and it appears first in episode 805, and then again in 806, which aired on July 28th, 69, and was taped on July 18th, 69. Since no one else falls in 806 in terms of the photographing, I feel that 805 is probably the episode that produced this shot. And now here's a brief clip of Charity from episode 805.
Don't you like music? Carl did. All the way back from Atlantic City, I sang and told him stories. Some of them bored him, but he laughed anyway. Particularly after we drank some brandy. Do you know the story about the vicar's daughter named Alice? What's that all about?
I'm putting you on your knees, Charity, where you belong. Putting you on your knees so you can pray.
I don't remember how to pray.
Well, you're going to, Charity, because it's a part of you. It's a part of your life, like the blood in your veins. It's your life blood, Charity. Now pray, Charity. Pray.
Poster number 5. Judith Trask was off at the sanitarium during this time frame, hence Joan Bennett was unavailable for publicity stills at the time. Fortunately, Philly Gum Company had many shots of Judith from their earlier shoot for the Green Card series. This one, featuring an interesting lavender gray taffeta dress, was most likely taken during dress for episode 719, aired March 27th, 69, taped March 20th, 69. See green cards 14, 49 through 53, and 59. Poster number 6, Quentin's second appearance in the set, offers a pose by the foyer newel post at the base of the Great Staircase. Again, episode 804. This shot, also done on the staircase in the foyer, was also used for at least one of the book covers of the paperback library series. The background surrounding the 4 men of Collinwood, Barnabas, Tate, Edward, and Quentin, was completely obliterated and is the only example of this kind of graphic editing found in the set. The costumes match for our time frame, but Edward's stiff posture could be construed as servile, and he fell under Pitofi's spell of servitude in episode 804. We can eliminate later episodes because Roger Davis was not called for work in 805, and Louis Edmonds was off for 806. Jonathan Frid appears without his trademark Inverness in this shot, which coincides with the end of episode 804, when Barnabas spirits the possessed Jameson away from Collinwood. And here are 2 paperback library books, The Peril of Barnabas Collins, which is number 12 in the series, and we also have number 18, which also includes another one of the shots on the staircase, Barnabas, Quentin, and the Nightmare Assassin. Both of these are from episode 804, which lets us know that paperback library photographer was on the set at the same time that the Philly Gum photographer was on the set. This made the tape date for episode 804, July 16th, 1969, a very busy day. On the cover of book 14, another stair shot, the possessed Charity Trask appears with Quentin, Barnabas, and Edward. Her hair and scarf match that of episode 804. The other paperback library books that have 804 covers include 13, 15, 16, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 30, and 32. Poster number 8. Jameson Collins is featured in a head and shoulders shot that includes his hands, which are gloved. This places this still within the parameters of our time frame after the boy's possession by Pitofi. Additionally, the dark overcoat worn here narrows the window to episodes 803 or 804, with the unruly spray of hair on David Hennessy's left temple matching his appearance in episode 803. That is the episode we've settled on. 803 aired on July 23rd, 69, and was taped on July 15th, 69. Here's a brief scene featuring Jameson Collins from episode 803.
Why don't you take your gloves off, Jameson?
There's a very good reason why I can't take my gloves off. Just as there's a very good reason that you're so distracted.
Distracted?
Yes. I don't feel that you have your mind on the game, but somewhere else. On someone. Someone who fills your every thought. Someone whose commands you wait for.
Jameson, I don't understand you. Maybe I should call your father.
My father. My father's not here. That's a peacock, a vain and a little man. Name proud.
Jameson, be quiet. Yes, I should go call him right now.
No. Please. Please don't, Beth.
Jameson, it's for your own good.
Everyone always says for my own good. But they don't know. They never ask me.
This early Victor Fenn-Gibbon shot on poster 9 shows the incognito Count Pitofi as he appeared just after his arrival in Collinsport. Thayer David spent much of these episodes in the more conservative tie he wears here instead of his more flamboyant cravat of later times. The only thing that separates this shot from any other of that time is that he is depicted here without an overcoat. The only time near our window of episodes that Petofi goes without coat, exposing his little white pocket kerchief, is in episode 798, which aired on July 16, 69 and taped on July 9th, 69. When he makes contact with Quentin at Collinwood, chiding him for his superstitious nature and his associations with gypsies. However, the wig that Thayer David wore as Petofi usually was a mass of evenly placed curls, and this poster shot shows a large curled forelock. This anomaly in hairstyle can be seen in episode 800, which aired on July 18, 1969, and was taped on July 10, 1969, where Petofi's true identity is revealed when Quentin pulls his right hand off in a struggle. His tie in this episode is also the same as in the poster, and I'm reasonably sure the costume beneath his overcoat would have been the same. The shot was probably taken between scenes when Thayer David would have time to remove his coat. And here's a scene from episode 800 in which you can see Petofi's anomalous forelock.
I am here on a matter of business. You have something? I want it.
You want the hand?
Very much so, Mr. Collins. I have wanted it for a long time.
Why?
Why? Because it is unique in the entire world. Because I am a collector of the unique. Because I pursue anything that meets the standards I've set myself. That is why I am the one person in the world who should have it. May I be completely frank with you, Mr. Collins? Once I had the hand. I asked no more of it than was my due to ask.
Why don't you have it now?
A good question.
Poster number 10. This rather dramatic shot of Barnabas Collins showing him from the side with his hand to his upturned collar, and its companion poster number 14 were most likely taken at the same time. The episode is 803. More details when we discuss poster 14. Poster 11 features everyone's favorite Collinwood stiffneck, Edward Collins, who poses here in his trusty brown suit, looking every inch the would-be master of Collinwood. Since he was not on the show in the days prior to episode 803, and under Petofi's spell of servility after that, 803 is the episode for this still shot. Now here's a brief clip of Edward from episode 803.
We'll learn the truth about ourselves. And one by one, we will all be destroyed by that truth.
You seem to be doing a very good job of destroying yourself without Mr. Fengibbon's
Are
help.
you going to listen to me?
No, I am not. I'm tired, and I have too many real problems to contend with, without having to put up with phantoms that you're conjuring up.
He's not a phantom. He's real, and he's dangerous, particularly to your son.
No, Quentin. In your present condition, you are far more dangerous to my son than Mr. Fengibbons could ever be. And if you dare say any of this nonsense that you've got in your mind to him, you'll have to deal with me.
Will you listen to me?
No, I will not. Subject is closed.
Good morning, Mr. Collins.
And poster number 12 features the fabulous fashion plate of Collinsport, Evan Hanley, as he's wearing this handsome green lounge robe, which he wore on several occasions, but only twice during our time frame, episodes 800 and 801/802. Based on nothing more than the straighter, flatter appearance of his hair on the poster, which matches episode 800, I choose this episode as the one likely to have produced the still shot. And here's a short clip of Evan from that very episode. Feast your eyes on the glory of the pretty green robe.
No, Mr. Hanley. Don't close that door. No, no, no. You and I have some very important business to discuss this evening.
Poster number 13, Quentin Collins' third solo in the set of 16 posters, shows him in his least attractive shot, a stiff, full-length still in front of a window framed with draperies, possibly in his room or the drawing room. Again, episode 804. And here's a brief scene from that episode.
Barnabas? Barnabas?
I am here, Quentin. Did you send for the child?
Just as you told me. He should be here very soon.
Good.
It's difficult to think of him as a child.
You must not lose sight of the fact that the mind is possessed by Count Patapi. You must find a way to get that captive mind and return the body to its rightful owner. And we must act quickly before everything is changed irrevocably.
If only we can.
Who is this?
Don't you recognize?
She seems familiar.
It's Jenny. Just before I married her.
Poster number 14. The two Barnabas posters, numbers 10 and 14, were probably shot during dress for episode 803 due to two factors. The first is that Jonathan Frid was not on the show in the episodes immediately preceding 803. The second is that number 14's background is a perfect match for the scene in episode 803 where Beth goes to Barnabas's cellar hiding place under the spell of Jameson/Patofi. The background bricks and even the barrels stacked nearby are a total match. The link to poster number 10 is in the contour of Barnabas's spiked bangs, which are like fingerprints in their uniqueness from show to show. They are a match. And here's that scene we just talked about from 803.
Barnabas,
Who is it?
it's Beth.
What do you want?
I had to come to you.
Why? Why did you come here?
I had to see you. Barnabas, please don't turn away from me. I beg you.
Leave her alone.
Quentin, what are you doing here?
What is she doing here?
I don't know.
Don't you? I don't believe that.
I'm afraid you'll have to.
She admitted to me that
she and I were closer than you knew. Well, it's true. It was true. But it is true no longer. I know what I am, Quentin. I know what I need. I despise all of it.
Poster 15. This standing view of Angelique is in 1795 costume and was probably taken at that character's introduction in 1967, or one of several 1968 episodes in which she appears in 1795 garb. This is a studio shot pulled from Philly Gun morgue files, last seen as Red Gum Card number 37. Perhaps no 1897 shot of her could be found because she was among the protesters on the set who showed up at dress rehearsals in curlers and robes to rebel against no pay and no say in photo selection for the cards and posters. A photographer at dress rehearsals irked some actors by his presence. At any rate, she was not called to work during the window of episodes established. Therefore, it is probable that no fresh shots of Lara Parker were possible. Poster number 16, Magda. This shot could have been taken any time during Grayson's Hall tenure as Magda, due to the standard costume she always wore. Since most other shots here were taken within our time frame, this one most likely falls here too, between 800 and 806. I'm going to say, based on what you're going to see here in our next little clip, that it's probably episode 800.
Quentin, it ain't here.
Well, where could it be? Did anyone else see it? Are you sure?
I'm sure nobody even knows about it but us and Evan Handley.
No, he wouldn't take it, I'm sure.
Oh, and Aristide. How sure are you of your good friend Aristide? Oh, and what about his friend, that grand man that you met with him, eh?
Victor? He claims they don't know each other.
Maybe it's true and maybe it's not. I don't know. But maybe nobody took it. It's got a will of its own, a desire of its own. Maybe wherever it is, it wants to be there.
For purposes of reference, here is the real-time table of dates in which the photo sessions probably took place. Thursday, July 10th, 1969, tape date for episode 800. Thayer David as Count Patofi and Humbert Allen Estrado as Evan Hanley. Probably Grayson Hall as Magda. Thursday, July 15th, 1969, tape day for 803. Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins, David Hennessy as Jameson Collins, and Louis Edmonds as Edward Collins. Wednesday, July 16th, 1969, tape day for episode 804. David Selby as Quentin Collins, Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins, Roger Davis as Charles Delaware Tate, and Louis Edmonds possibly as Edward Collins. Thursday, July 17th, 1969 is tape date for episode 805. Jerry Lacey as Gregory Trask, and Nancy Barrett as Charity Trask. Friday, July 18th, 1969, tape day for episode 806. There's a possibility that Nancy Barrett was called for a shoot there, but it's more likely she was called on the 17th, which was tape date for 805. Well, shouldn't be sitting here in the dark, I suppose. Ooh. Hope you enjoyed our little foray into 1897. As you can see, I'm going by lantern light here in commemoration of the event. That concludes our episode number 7 of Collins Port After Dark, live here from the Chris Jennings Memorial Hotel room at the Collinsport Inn in beautiful downtown Collinsport. Now, I hope you enjoyed our little trip down memory lane to 1969 and 1897 both. For the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company, Giant Pinups, Dark Shadows, Giant Pinups. And giant they are. Well, actually, they're only about 19 inches long, but, you know, that's pretty big for little hands, I guess. So, until we meet again, have a lovely, lovely evening. And don't let the werewolves bite.